today we're going to move on to 9.3, classifying polygons. So you can just follow along and fill in. Polygon, a closed, whoa, I picked the wrong color, closed plane figure with at least 3 sides. The sides meet only at their endpoints. That is what a polygon is. A regular polygon are all sides are congruent and all angles are congruent. That's a regular polygon. That'll come in handy during your assignment. Okay, an irregular polygon is obviously without everything congruent. Okay, so let's classify some triangles. Triangles can be classified by their sides and their angles or both. Okay, and so if it says, if we're just dealing with the angles right now, okay, when you look at these, all 3 of these angles are acute. Okay, these are all 3 acute angles. So this is an acute triangle. So that means 3 acute angles to be an acute triangle. This one has 1 obtuse, so it's an obtuse triangle because you can't have more than 2 obtuse angles in a triangle and it still make a triangle. So this has 1 obtuse angle. This one, again, if we're classifying by the angles, this has 1 right angle, so this is a right triangle. For some reason this won't right. Okay, and that is 1 right angle. Okay, so here are the names, right, obtuse, acute, and this is how you know how to classify them. Okay, next, so this is by the sides. So all sides congruent, all congruent sides is an equilateral triangle. Okay, this one has no congruent sides, and we know that because these little marks over here mean they're congruent. No congruent sides means scalene. And 2 congruent sides is isosceles. Okay, that's what those 2 little notches are. So they'll either be notches that are the same or it'll tell you the actual number. So 1, 2, and 3, it says classify the following triangles by their sides and their angles. So each of them should have 2 names. So if we look at the sides first of this, it would be an isosceles right triangle. Because there's a right angle, you do the sides, and then if you put right first, that's fine. Right isosceles or isosceles right. This one, they're all acute, and there's no sides that are the same. So I would say scalene, acute triangle. And this one over here, there's one that's obtuse, and again, it doesn't mark that there's any the same, so we would have to assume that they're not. So scalene, obtuse triangle. Now, if these were marked, well, there's no way to do that. Yeah, so it could have been isosceles, obtuse as well, if those 2 were the same. Okay? So that's triangles. We're just going to barely touch on quadrilaterals, okay? So the key, this little chart shows you that quadrilaterals have 4 sides. That's the only thing. It doesn't matter if any of the sides are equal. So all of these things below here, all these things below here are quadrilaterals. These are just certain types of quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals can be split into 2 categories, either parallelogram or trapezoid. Trapezoid is just by itself, and what that means is there is exactly one pair of parallel sides. So this and this are parallel. Now there's more characteristics, but we don't get into them this year, so don't worry about them right now. So there's one pair of parallel sides. That's important. Okay, when you get into parallelograms, both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. So that means this side is parallel and so is this side. Okay? So then we go from parallelograms, we can go down. And so a rhombus has 4 congruent sides. It doesn't have congruent angles, it has 4 congruent sides. Again, there's more characteristics to a rhombus, but we just don't get into it this year. Okay, a rectangle has 4 congruent angles. And then a square is like a rhombus and a rectangle put together. It has 4 congruent sides and then 4 congruent angles. So if I gave you a picture of the square and I said, name all of the, classify this figure with all the names it can be classified as, you would say square, rectangle, triangle, because it incorporates all of those. Parallelogram and trapezoid. I'm sorry, not trapezoid. Hello, quadrilateral. If I gave you, or if the book gives you a picture of a trapezoid, you would say it's a trapezoid and a quadrilateral because it meets both of those. If I gave you a picture of a rectangle, you would say, okay, it's a rectangle, but it's also a parallelogram. So it might say give all the names, and it's also a quadrilateral. Oops, I spelled that wrong, but you know what I mean. Lateral. Okay? Moving on. Here's just a few little pictures for you to look at if you want little comics. They're not really comics, but you know.